Good morning, Drew Rebar Auditing Reno 911. I've got Ryan here, and I was asked to do an interview by him for he's a student at Reno High School in his government AP class, and he wanted to ask me questions about what I'm doing with the
Hi, Drew.
YouTube channel and everything else. So, hey, Ryan, go ahead and start
Thanks
asking
for having me
questions, maybe explain who you are a little bit too.
Yeah, so I'm a AP government student. I'm a senior at Reno High, born and raised here. Came across your YouTube channel, have seen everything that you're doing. So my first question is just, could you just kind of introduce yourself? I know this is your channel, you're the host hosting me, but um, what do you do and how would you describe yourself? Kind of, would you say you're an activist or an auditor?
Um, I'm just a pissed off business guy.
I
Uh,
like
uh,
that.
the reality is, all that I ever wanted to do in life was run a business,
Right,
take care of my family, and pretty much just be left alone. Unfortunately, what I found running my business is the government likes to dip their hands into pretty much everything, and you find these people within government that believe that they should regulate everything within a business, whether the law says they can or they can't. And what I ended up discovering is you've got people in the state of Nevada, goes into the federal government too, I'm sure, but mostly I'm in the state of Nevada. But people like a man named J.D. Decker, who's the chief of the Nevada DMV police, and
right.
well, he likes to make up fake laws and then enforce them, and then he gets pissed off when you call him out on them. And so I just took a camera out and started recording them and showing people what's really going on.
Yeah. So you ran for state senate for District 40, I believe. And
Assembly, the
yeah,
lower
state,
house, yeah.
yeah. So what kind of led you to challenge the Republican incumbent?
Pretty much, like I said, I'm a business guy, so I called
Right.
up my state assemblyman and left him a message to try to get some help with what I saw as overreaching government. And he never called me back. And then I'm looking at things, and I'd filed a lawsuit, and I'd gone out and been arrested for recording and trying to find out what's going on with government. And I'm looking at it going, why don't I just run if this guy
Right.
won't do anything? And so I paid $100 and put my name in the hat and found even more corruption.
So can you explain what you mean by that? Like, what did you learn from running and everything?
Well, when I describe more corruption within government, um, the law and the Constitution says it regulates elections.
Right.
And according to the law and according to the Constitution, we're supposed to have sample ballots. We're supposed to have ballots. There's supposed to be this whole process of
For
informing
sure.
the public and giving the public an opportunity to go out and investigate who they're voting for, what they're about, and giving them information. And a lot of this information comes from the government. And so when I ran for Assembly District 40, Washoe County left my name and my opponent's name, but he was the incumbent, so he already had name recognition. But they left our names in the district off of the Washoe County sample ballots. That means when people
Yeah.
went to go sit down and research the people on the sample ballot, who do they want to vote for? Well, my name's not there, and they've already voted for this one guy. So I think that gave me a distinct disadvantage. Um, People didn't know my name when they went to go check the box.
Right, for sure. Was there a way for you to like appeal that or try and get your name back on?
Well, I told the county about it, and this is where I
Right.
say there's more corruption in the government. And the county did absolutely nothing. They, you know, didn't try to fix it, didn't take any actions to solve the problem. And so then it all came about, and I'm going, well, how do I solve this problem? So I started doing some legal research, and I'm going, well, the law says this, the Constitution says this, and let's go to the Supreme Court and see what they say. So I went to the
Right.
Supreme Court, and what they said is that I did not do the correct process. Instead of
Uh-huh.
going and complaining to the county, I should have gone directly to the district court and filed a complaint with the district court. And I should not have gone directly to the Supreme Court. The reason I went to the Supreme Court is I figured it was going to end up there anyways, and they'd be the final arbiter.
Right, that makes sense.
And so I did that, and they said, well, you know, I didn't do the process right when I was complaining about the wrong process. that they wouldn't do anything. But what they did say is they did say that Washoe County violated the Constitution. They violated the law. So there is that on the legal precedent that they've put out there into the public realm as far as Supreme Court decisions.
And did you believe that that was like targeted for you since your work in the community, or was it more like since you were challenging the incumbent?
I don't know. I
Right.
mean, was it simply a mistake? Because if you looked at all of the Washoe County ballots, there was a gal named Carmen Ortiz, and she was running for another assembly seat. And instead of putting her name on the sample ballot, Washoe County, and she was a Republican, Washoe County put the Democrats that were running on the Republican sample ballot
On the ballot. Wow.
and took her name out and didn't give her that name recognition either. And the Democrat did end up winning the general election for that district. So there was just a lot of, however the government describes them, oopsies, glitches, hiccups, whatever stupid term they want to use to describe their failure to do their job. And that's really my issue, I think, with government is there's no accountability in government when government employees screw up, that they just kind of get a pass and keep collecting their paycheck.
Right. So would you plan on running again in
Yeah.
that office or in another office?
Well, right now I'm planning on running for Assembly 40 again.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I'm going to just keep working on that. I'm going to go and lobby the legislature this session. So I'm going to go try to meet all the people that are in the current office and go try to talk to PK O'Neill some more and just work on getting some fixes for some government accountability. And maybe
And
I'll
is
be
that
successful. Maybe
is
I
that
won't.
lobbying related to your business, or is that just more,
No,
you know,
no,
just
it's the, well, I mean, it could be in a way. My business, I think the way that the regulatory agencies are built and the way they work. So my business is very simple. I own a towing company.
right,
And I'm one of 10 people in Northern Nevada that have the license that I have. And the license that I have is very difficult to get. And I'm sitting here thinking my business is simple. Shouldn't any young man or young person, or however you want to describe it, shouldn't you be able to go out and buy some equipment, do some advertising, and start a business, be able to take care of your family, support whatever you want to do financially, have liberty. Liberty is guaranteed in the Constitution. Shouldn't you have the liberty to go and earn the living that you want to go earn as a human being without the government putting you through hundreds of thousands of dollars of fees, years of hearings, a bunch of bullshit
right, for the
that
licensing.
to get a license to go feed your family? To me, that just seems wrong. Or if you move it over into, let's move it out of the towing business, let's move it into the construction business where you've got
Right,
contractors licenses. And so, for example, I, as a small business, if I want to do improvements on my property, I can't just go get a permit from that's a whole other issue, permits from
right,
the county or the city. I've got to hire a contractor. So I've got to pay somebody more money to go get this and pay them to do the work on my property. Whereas I can't just do it myself and save a lot of money. I've got to go spend a lot more money. So the way the system is designed so that people starting off in life, as I see it, are at an extreme disadvantage. And those that already have the money, they're at an extreme advantage. So how do you level that playing field? I don't think government does that.
right. Because if you were just wanting to start out with your towing company, you're not going to have hundreds of thousands of dollars for lawyers and to get
Yeah.
through all those bureaucratic processes.
And you're not going to understand the
Yeah,
system.
yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I understand the system because I got 20 years of experience dealing with a stupid system.
Right,
But a guy like you that's just becoming an adult, how are you going to deal with that? How is somebody your age going to deal with coming into finding out the system? Or are you going to be stuck where you're not going to be able to make as much money and support your family the way that you might want to support
right.
your family?
So what would be the first thing that you would do if you were in office? Would it be something related to bureaucracy and licensing, or what's kind of the first thing that you would use to start the groundwork for your campaign? If you would have
Bureaucracy, licensing, that's one aspect of it.
right,
I'm very happy with the last election as far as the federal government goes, and the work to eliminate wasteful spending and eliminate regulation. And I think
For
that'll be
sure.
a huge benefit to everybody in the country as far as being able to go make a living. And again, ultimately it all comes down to taking care of your family and taking care of your
Yeah.
life, because that's really what matters. I mean, when you look at your life, what's important to you?
I
Your
mean, for
family?
sure, yeah. Family and defending our rights and everything.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's pretty, across political parties. I think that's the real complaint, whether you're on the left or you're on the right, is that there's all of these controls that prevent us from having our rights. And I ask myself the question about liberty. Now, liberty is defined in the Constitution. We've all got a right to liberty. What is liberty? Liberty is the right to live your life the way that you want to live your life. But yet, you're a young guy. Do you have to have a license to pretty much do anything in life?
Right.
And if the government licenses everything, what liberty do you really have?
Yep. So I wanted to talk about, would you say that like recent changes like police body cams and social media as far as auditing, would you say that like the rise of independent media will give you public like hope for public accountability, or would you say that that's not really going to change anything?
Oh, I think that's the root of public accountability. So, for example, I'm in my mid 50s, and my kids are a little bit older than you are.
Right.
But when I was your age, basically we had ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox was just coming on the scene.
Right. The
So
mainstream.
yeah, you had four mainstream outlets. Most towns had 1 to 2 newspapers. So Reno, we had the Reno Gazette Journal, and over the course of my life, these independent, locally owned media outlets, because most of the local TV stations were locally owned, most of the local newspapers were locally owned. All of them have been gobbled up by huge conglomerates. So there's very few people controlling all of this mainstream media across the country. And
Right.
then with the advent of the internet and YouTube, and although YouTube censors a lot of things too, but there's a lot more ways for me to get out there or you to get out there. And we've got more avenues for all of us to communicate with each other, as opposed to just being locked in by these mainstream media organizations that are controlled by a very few rich people.
Right. For sure. Um, sure. So what would you say to people? I know that you're really involved in local government, and I've watched some county commission and some public meetings that you've been at. What would you say to people that want to fight for freedom and liberty, but they say that if you get involved in public and local government, it's not really going to change anything? What would you say to those people?
Local government is key. Um,
Right.
I mean, the federal government we all look at, that makes the most news, but really local government controls us. Local is really where it's at. It's our local school boards. You're in the school system right now.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, because they've got to, from what I hear, if you choose to identify as a different gender, you can go into that other gender's locker room and go change in there. Is that really what's going on in schools?
I haven't really seen anything about that. They kind of don't really talk about it so much, but um, yeah, so I'm not really sure about that specifically, but I guess it's up to what the school board decides.
Right, right. And to me, I think that the whole, uh, like with the library and schools, what I see is a push for this LGBTQ agenda, and I'm opposed to that. I think children need to be um, protected. I don't think children need to have anything sexual brought into their world at all, one way or the other way. Um, I think that, in my opinion, that's wrong. I think we as human beings need to figure things out ourselves, and I think that over the thousands of years of human existence, well, obviously the population keeps growing, so I think we've figured out how to what that part of life is about. And what I see is this agenda with these rainbows coming into our libraries, where they're only letting kids into these story times that have a definite overtone. But they don't want adults in there. They don't want veterans in there. They don't want homeless in there. They don't want all these other people in there. Why are they targeting children? Why is this agenda, from what I've seen, targeting our schools and targeting our libraries, as opposed to just targeting the go to the bars where the adults are, go to the clubs where the adults go. Why are we putting this agenda in our schools? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I don't know if you've seen what you've seen, and that doesn't seem like you've seen a lot of it. But from the outside looking in, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I think our school does a pretty good job, and they kind of try to remain politically neutral. Like, we cover those topics and everything. Obviously, we're older kids, but I think this at least our school does a pretty good job of remaining neutral. But from the video that I saw of you in the library, it was you said that you like didn't really have that much of a problem with the library having those people over, but it was more of an issue of the people that were trespassed and that were denied like entry into the
Right.
library at that time.
Yeah. I mean, to me again, well, according to the law and according to the Constitution, everybody should be able to access services. Now, if I disagree with you, that doesn't mean I should be denied services. Just
Right.
because you disagree with me doesn't mean you should be denied services. It should be a very neutral place, and it's become a non-neutral place. And I think that's my real issue with libraries is well, Ann Silver, she's the chairman of the library board of trustees. Even she said she felt intimidated with all of the rainbow people standing in the back of the room. The libraries, if you go into the libraries, what I found is you're not going to find people that have a lot of different views. The current library director has, I think, gotten rid of people with a lot of diverse views, and he's hired in a lot of people from the LGBTQ community, and they're all wearing rainbows and they're pushing an agenda. And to me, it's, what if these people were in there wearing Israeli flags and Hamas flags? Obviously, there's a battle between these different agendas. So why are we putting these agendas in our libraries when we're supposed to be pretty much, supporting everybody and not burning books and promoting free speech and promoting free expression? Yet we don't do that. If you want to bring a sign into the library, like a gal named Sandy Tibbet did, she got restricted because she put up a sign. Why can't she put up a sign, but these people can wear their rainbows?
Right.
What's the difference between her view of life and their view of life? Well, they're opposing views and they don't like her, so they kicked her out. But they don't kick their views out. If you're going to kick one out, you got to kick all out. You can't have, you got to be open to everything is my view of it. If they want to have the drag queen story time in the libraries, have the drag queen story time, but invite the homeless community in, and invite the people that go to Alcoholics Anonymous in, invite the retired veterans in. I've got one video where I don't know how old the man is specifically. I would guess he's in his very late 70s, very early 80s. And he was saying, I'm a veteran. I fought for our country, but I can't come into this meeting. Why are you keeping a man like that out? Why is it only for children? If the adults can't be in there and see what's going on in there, is there a problem? It just raises questions. And if you do things that raise questions, and people are going to start asking the questions, and the conflict is going to start. If you keep things open and transparent, then people aren't going to have as much room to ask questions, and there won't be conflict because things will be transparent.
Right. So I had a question about hold on, let me look through my list. What would you say, like, what can the average individual do about these issues that they're facing, whether it's from business or whether they're an auditor and they go in and record things and they get backlash from the community and from public officials? What would you say is the best thing you could do? Would you say going the legal route, or would you say just continuing awareness?
All the above. That's what I'm doing. Is I don't like something, somebody gives me some pushback, then I'm going to go back out with the camera and peacefully. That's the important thing, because a lot of people like to say that they like to accuse you of things that you're not doing and push this whole
Right.
violence agenda. I don't know if you've noticed with the libraries, a lot of the librarians say that they feel threatened. I'm going, well, what do you feel threatened by? Politicians say they feel threatened, but then when you go do public records requests, there's never a record of any threats. So I think that whole agenda that trying to turn themselves into victims is just that, an agenda of trying to turn themselves into victims and using that as a way to silence other people's voices. So I think the best way to do anything is to shed light on it. How do you shed light on it? Well, you take a camera, you go publish it on YouTube or wherever else you want to
Right.
publish, get some traction. If you get more pushback, then you do like what I've done, and this is a whole other test of our system. You go file a lawsuit. What you'll find dealing with attorneys is a lot of attorneys don't want to deal with fighting government or fighting these things because either it's not financially good or politically doesn't look good or there's some other issues. So, can an average person access our legal system, file the necessary paperwork, file the necessary process to get an outcome? You know, whether the outcome is for the way you were looking at it or against it, but
Right.
can you utilize the process that we have in place that it's supposed to give all of us our equal rights?
All right, that's gonna be it for me. I want to thank you for having me on your show and everything, and for letting me interview you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks for reaching out, man.
Thank you. Take care.
Hey, Ryan, have a good one.